I'll marry you if you fit into this red dress. Julian Aranda's voice cut through the ballroom like a whip. Laughter burst from the crowd, echoing through the elegant hall. Maribel Torres, wearing her cleaning uniform, lowered her head in silence. Before her, the most expensive dress in the exhibition shimmered. The red silk glowed like fire, mocking everything she could never have. Julian raised his glass and smiled with cruel amusement. "Come on, woman, do you dare or not?" Maribel said nothing. She gripped her mop tightly and walked away. Behind her, laughter exploded again, but her eyes no longer showed shame. Something had changed. That night, humiliation turned into a promise. No one knew that the woman they mocked had just begun writing a story that would shake Julian Aranda's name forever. The alarm clock rang harshly the next morning. Maribel woke up with the echo of laughter still in her head. The ceiling of her small apartment in Iztapalapa was cracked and damp. Her blue uniform hung on a chair beside her bed. For a second, she thought about not going to work. But hunger, she thought, always weighs more than pride. She poured coffee into a chipped cup while her mother watched her from the table. "Another sleepless night, my daughter?" "Nothing, Mom, just tired," Maribel replied softly. On the TV, the news replayed last night's fashion event. "Julian Aranda dazzles with his new collection," said the reporter. "The red dress will be auctioned in an exclusive event." Maribel froze. Her mother noticed the change in her expression. "You were there, weren't you?" she asked gently. Maribel nodded without speaking. The image of the red dress filled the screen again. It burned in her memory like a wound that refused to heal. She turned off the TV and whispered to herself, "One day, I'll wear something like that." The bus ride to work was long and heavy with silence. People talked about bills, traffic, and the unbearable heat. Maribel looked out the window at the city passing by. Billboards for beauty clinics and gyms lined the streets. She didn't feel envy, she felt hunger for dignity. When she arrived at the hotel ballroom, the floor still sparkled from last night's event. Empty glasses, wilted petals, and the scent of perfume filled the air. She picked up her mop and started cleaning quietly. Then she heard footsteps behind her. It was Marina, one of Julian's assistants. "You really messed up last night," she said softly. "If I were you, I wouldn't come back." "I don't have a choice," Maribel replied, keeping her calm. "Well, if you don't want more trouble, avoid him," Marina warned. "Julian doesn't tolerate visual mistakes in his events." Those words cut deeper than the laughter had. Visual mistakes. Maribel clenched her jaw and continued working. She finished her shift in silence, but instead of taking the bus home, she stopped in front of a small neighborhood gym. A sign read, "First class free. Start today." She took a deep breath and walked inside. The air smelled like iron and sweat. A strong woman with a kind smile approached her. "First time here?" "Yes, I want to change," Maribel said. "If you're serious, I'll help you," the trainer said. "But don't skip a single day," Maribel nodded firmly. That night when she looked in the mirror, she didn't see someone poor or fat or tired. She saw a woman ready to fight back. The red dress appeared in her mind again, floating like a dream she would one day conquer. "Not for him," she whispered softly, "for me." The city slept outside, unaware of what had begun. Because change doesn't always start with hope. Sometimes it begins with a wound. And that wound inside Maribel had just opened forever. If this story touched your heart, tell us where you're watching from and tap for part 2.
I was 16 when my mother kicked me out. No goodbyes, no explanations, just a suitcase on the porch and a locked door. She said I reminded her too much of my father, and that was enough. I slept in laundromats, borrowed showers, and worked double shifts at a corner bakery just to survive. I didn't hate her, I just stopped expecting anything from her. One night, a regular customer, Mrs. Grace, noticed I was still in my flour-stained uniform at midnight. She asked where I lived, I lied. The next day, she returned with a sandwich and a folded blanket. The day after that, she handed me an address. "There's a small room in my basement," she said. "It's not much, but it's warm. No strings attached." That was the first real home I ever had. Mrs. Grace became my safe place. She taught me how to cook, how to save money, even how to drive. She never pried. She just gave me the space to grow. By the time I was 25, I was working at a furniture store. I was clean, but not confident, climbing my way up. Then one day, I discovered Mrs. Grace had fallen behind on her mortgage. She never told me. She never asked for help. I panicked, and I did something I swore I'd never do. I stole money from the store's safe, just enough to cover her debt. I thought I'd pay it back. I didn't tell her. A week later, the police came to the store. But here's the twist. It wasn't my boss who reported me. It was Mrs. Grace. I was crushed, betrayed. In court, facing prison, the judge was ready to hand down a sentence. Then Mrs. Grace stood up. "Your Honor," she said, "I reported him not to destroy his life, but to save it. I took him in when no one else would, but I will not let him become the very thing we worked so hard to escape." She paid back the store herself. I received probation, community service, and one final warning. Years later, I opened my own auto shop. Every month, I send Mrs. Grace a check, not because she needs it, but because I still owe her more than money. I owe her who I am. Sometimes the people who hold us accountable aren't our enemies. They're the ones who love us most. Love isn't always comfort. True love holds us accountable, even when it hurts. If this story touched your heart, comment Amen like this video, share it to inspire someone who feels alone, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that heal the heart. A beggar walked into a fancy restaurant. Immediately, diners gave him disgusted looks. The staff grew uneasy. The manager stormed over to a young waitress. "Get that dirty man out before he ruins our image," he ordered. The waitress hesitated, conflicted. The manager warned, "If he doesn't pay, it comes out of your salary." She nodded, but instead of turning him away, she kindly seated the beggar and whispered, "It's on the house." The beggar smiled and quietly enjoyed his meal. All the while, the manager glared and criticized her, but she stayed calm. When he finished, the beggar approached the manager. "Where's the payment?" the manager demanded. The beggar smiled. "You're fired." The manager laughed. "Who do you think you are? I own this restaurant." The beggar calmly replied, "I am the owner. I was testing how my staff treats everyone, no matter who they are." He turned to the young waitress. "This is your new position. You're the new manager. Kindness and integrity are always noticed, even when no one else sees. If this story touched your heart, comment Amen. Like this video, subscribe for more stories that inspire and heal. And share this, because someone needs this reminder today. My dad fell from the roof. I ran to him. He was lying unconscious on the floor. He looked badly hurt. I quickly called an ambulance. After a long night, the doctors told my mom and me that he had a serious head injury and needed more tests. The next morning, they found his brain was damaged and rushed him into surgery. My mom cried and prayed with all her heart, begging God to save him. Hours felt like forever. Finally, the doctor came out. "We don't know if he'll remember you. He may not even be able to walk. Only a miracle can save him." We went home, heartbroken. That night, I couldn't sleep. I prayed, "God, please, I'm begging you, save my dad." A couple of days later, he woke up. At first, he could barely move or speak. We feared he might never fully recover, but slowly he improved. Within days, he spoke again, walked a little, and regained strength. When the doctors rechecked him, all the damage was gone. They called it a miracle. I fell to my knees and screamed, "This is the power of God!" Comment Amen if you believe in miracles. Like this video to honor faith and prayer. Subscribe for more stories that restore hope. My dad fell from the roof. I ran to him, but he wasn't moving. His eyes were closed. He was unconscious. I was shaking as I called the ambulance. That night felt endless. The doctors told my mom and me, "He has a severe head injury. We need more tests." The next morning, everything got worse. They found serious brain damage and rushed him into emergency surgery. My mother collapsed in tears, praying non-stop. Hours later, the doctor came out and said, "We don't know if he'll remember you. He may never walk again. Only a miracle can save him." Our hearts were shattered. That night, I cried and prayed, "God, please save my father." 2 days later, my dad opened his eyes. He couldn't speak. He couldn't move. The doctors were unsure. But day by day, something unbelievable happened. He started talking. Then he started walking. When the doctors checked his brain again, all the damage was gone. They whispered one word, "Miracle." I fell to my knees and cried, "This is the power of God." If you believe in miracles, comment Amen. Like this video and subscribe for more real faith stories. My dad fell from the roof. I ran to him, but he was unconscious, his eyes completely closed. My hands were shaking as I called the ambulance. That night felt endless. The doctors told us he had a severe head injury and needed more tests. By the next morning, things got worse. They found serious brain damage and rushed him into emergency surgery. My mother collapsed, crying and praying nonstop. Hours later, the doctor came out and said, "We don't know if he'll remember you. He may never walk again. Only a miracle can save him." That night, I cried and prayed, "God, please save my father." 2 days later, he opened his eyes. He couldn't speak. He couldn't move. But he was alive. Day by day, he began to talk. Then he began to walk. When the doctors checked his brain again, all the damage was gone. They whispered one word, "Miracle." I fell to my knees and cried, "This is the power of God." Comment Amen if you believe in miracles. Like this video for real faith stories. Subscribe to see more unbelievable true miracles. Doctors said my dad would never walk again. He fell from a roof, unconscious, barely breathing. That night was terrifying. They said the brain damage was permanent. I had no hope left. So I prayed, "God, please save my dad." Days later, he opened his eyes. Then he spoke. Then he stood up. The doctors checked again. Every injury was gone. They called it a miracle. I call it the power of God. If you believe in miracles, comment Amen. My dad fell from the roof. I ran to him, but he was unconscious. His eyes were closed. I was shaking as I called the ambulance. That night felt endless. The doctors told us he has a severe head injury. We need more tests. The next morning, things got worse. They found serious brain damage and rushed him into emergency surgery. My mother collapsed, crying and praying non-stop. Hours later, the doctor said, "We don't know if he'll remember you. He may never walk again. Only a miracle could save him." That night, I cried and prayed, "God, please save my father." 2 days later, he opened his eyes. He couldn't speak, couldn't move, but he was alive. Day by day, he started talking, then walking. Finally, the doctors checked his brain. All the damage was gone. They whispered one word, "Miracle." I fell to my knees and cried, "This is the power of God." Comment amen if you believe in miracles. Like for more real faith stories. Subscribe to see unbelievable true miracles. I made a horrible mistake. I went on a mountain trip with my little son and my loyal dog. After hours of climbing, we reached the top and sat by the campfire as the sun slowly set. Everything felt peaceful, until suddenly my dog stood up and started barking at me. Annoyed, I screamed, "Shut up!" and slapped him to make him stop. Then I saw my son. He was running straight toward the edge of the mountain. My heart stopped. "No! Come back!" I shouted, running as fast as I could. Before I could reach him, my dog rushed past me. At the last second, he jumped in front of my child and blocked him from falling. I grabbed my son and hugged him tightly, shaking. "You're a hero!" I cried. "You saved my baby! I'll give you all the treats in the world!" But when I turned around, my dog was gone. He had slipped over the edge and fell to save my child. I collapsed to my knees, screaming his name through tears. But I never found him again. A dog gave his life for a child. If this story touched your heart, like this video, subscribe for more real stories, and write amen in the comments.